A climber from Iran who competed without wearing the mandatory hijab has allegedly apologized. Elnaz Rikabi says her headscarf came off by accident during an event in South Korea. Rights activists now fear for her safety. Her Instagram account claims she's going home on a pre-arranged schedule. Anti-government protests in Iran are now in their fifth week. Najeen Shiakai is an activist for women's rights. I asked her about the claim that Elnaz Rikabi's hijab fell off by accident.
Oh, we were actually expecting that. We were expecting the security and intelligence services putting pressure on her to publish something. This is a pattern they've been doing for the last 3-4 years. So every time there's something happening that they don't agree with, one of the first steps they do, they take over their social media and they post on their behalf. The next step that we are really worried about is when she gets back to Iran, which is midnight UK time. Basically, what happened is usually happening is she would be taken to the prison or somewhere in confinement, and they would question her. We know already her brother has been arrested, and they've been questioning her brother and putting pressure on her family members to kind of force her and her family to come out and do TV false confessions. That's another trend that the Iranian government has been doing. But from her message, this is really interesting, that the lines are really written interestingly. So she doesn't apologize for it. She just says, oh, it fell down by accident, which Iranian social media activists, they've all picked it up and they're talking about it. And everyone says, we know this has been done under duress, so we don't actually judge you by this. And this has been a trend that's pick up on social media at the moment.
Right. Other than social media, do you have an idea how average people in Iran are reacting to this?
Oh, there are calls for people to go to the airport, when she arrives. There are a lot of people calling the hotels in South Korea, trying in the last 24 hours, they've been trying to find out what happened to her. And the movement that started, was fascinating, because this is the first time a female athlete decided to go back after such an act. There's been 2 other incidents, similar acts that happened before, years before, but none of them stayed, within the confinements of the country. They decided from the moment they've done it, they decided to go abroad and not stay in Iran. But for Elnaz, this was a pre-planned decision, and she told her friend beforehand that she will do this and she will go back to Iran. That's why people are deciding to gather around her and make sure that what happens to her is not similar to a lot of other sad incidents that happened in Iran, and they've been killed or imprisoned for a long time and that sort of things. They want to support her in a physical way, go to the airport and take to the streets.
Najeen Shiakai, thank you very much for joining us here on DW News. Now, the European Union has announced sanctions against members of Iran's security forces over their violent crushing of dissent in response to those month-long protests we've just been hearing about. A broad range of people, from school children to oil workers, have joined those protests. The movement reflects the hopes and fears of Iranians at home and abroad. 2 Iranians in exile spoke with DW's Sonia Farnika in Paris.
Mahboubeh Moradi is an Iranian activist in Paris. She's at almost every demonstration in the French capital to show support for people risking their lives in Iran. For weeks, there have been protests there over the death of Gina Mahsa Amini, who died in police custody in Tehran. Like her, Mahboubeh was also arrested by the Iranian morality police for allegedly violating strict rules requiring women to cover their hair with a headscarf. But unlike Amini, she survived. Growing anger at the 22-year-old's death is why so many Iranians are defying a deadly crackdown by authorities.
I heard the message of Iranian that they say it's not important how much people will killed. We have to continue. We have the time after the Islamic Republic to cry for them. But now we have to keep our anger. We have to conserve it to put an end to an Islamic Republic.
The protests have spread to several Iranian cities. Mahboubi says even people fearful of taking to the streets have devised ways to resist.
For example, they are in their car, so at first they ban the streets to prevent the force to come to the people. The other is to blowing the horn continuously, and the other scream from the house, from the windows. Yeah. For example, they say no to the dictator. Yeah, we don't want Islamic Republic.
This protest song, Baroye, which means for in Persian, has become a soundtrack to the civil unrest. It's taken from messages posted online by ordinary Iranians voicing their anger. The song has special meaning for Ehsan Hosseinzadeh. The lawyer fled to France from Iran 4 years ago after facing threats for his work on human rights. He's drumming up support to build an international case against the Iranian government's human rights violations.
This is illegal. How can you arrest some people?
Ehsan says this video was filmed in Tehran on October 12th. He's extremely concerned about the reported arrests of thousands of protesters.
When you get arrested, there are several kinds of risks that you will face. First of all, you will not have access to the lawyer of your choice. The second is torture, the risk of being tortured. Another risk they will face is forced confession. Forced confession, they put people in front of the TV, national TV. They don't have any choice. They say either you confess in front of the TV or we will torture you.
For Iranian exiles like these in Paris, the hope is that France can help put pressure on the regime in Tehran to end the bloodshed.